All right, today we're going to follow the footsteps of one of the most misunderstood and, honestly, most important figures in the entire tarot. We're talking about a character who literally walks off a cliff with a smile on their face, the hero of a story told on cards. So let's start our journey with the Fool. When you hear the word fool, what comes to mind? Probably not something great, right? But in the world of the tarot, you've got to flip that idea on its head. As someone online put it so well, the fool is all about freedom, creativity, even chaos. It's number 0 because it's the void where everything begins. So the fool isn't empty-headed, it's just empty of limitations. So, to really get the full, we have to embrace that whole idea of starting at 0. I mean, he is, after all, card 0. Let's dig into what that actually means. But 0 here doesn't mean, nothing. It's more like a state of pure, unformed potential. Think of it like a blank canvas before the first stroke of paint. The Fool basically embodies this moment, standing at the very edge of existence, ready to become anything, or maybe even everything. But to really truly understand this card, we need to rewind the clock a bit. Because the Fool's story didn't start with mystics and crystal balls. It actually started with card players. Yeah, you heard that right. Forget all those myths you've heard about ancient Egyptian priests. The history is super clear on this. Tarot began as a playing art game in Renaissance Italy. The pictures on the cards were basically the pop culture of the day, stories and characters everyone would have recognized. And the Fool's evolution is just fascinating. Back in the 15th century, he was known as Il Matto, or the Madman, and he was just a special wild card in a game. It wasn't until a few hundred years later, in the 18th century, that French occultists started looking at these cards and seeing deeper spiritual meanings. That whole movement eventually led to the famous Rider-Waite-Smith deck in 1909, which really locked in the images we know today. And now, well, that journey's happening all over again online. And get this, even way back then, as just a piece in a game, the Fool was incredibly powerful. It was the wild card, the one card you could play at any time to completely mess up the game and change the entire outcome. He was a total game changer right from the very beginning. Now, every little detail you see on the modern Fool card, it's there for a reason. It's like a whole story packed into one image. So let's learn how to speak its language. If you've ever seen the Rider-Waite-Smith version of the card, you know it's just loaded with symbols, and each one tells a piece of the story. So let's break down a few of the big ones, from the sun overhead to the dog at his feet, to really get the deeper meaning of this single, powerful image. First, notice that white sun in the corner. In esoteric traditions, that's not just any old sun. Its white color is a nod to Kether from the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. This basically represents the divine source, the origin point of all creation, shining down on our hero as he's about to start his adventure. And then there's the little white dog. This is where you really see the card's core tension. On one hand, it's a loyal companion, representing our gut feelings and instincts, but it's also a warning, right? It's barking about the cliff that the Fool doesn't seem to see. It really poses a great question. Do you listen to that voice of question, or do you just trust the journey and take the leap anyway? Now, what about that tiny knapsack he's carrying? It looks so small, but it's said to hold everything he's learned from his past lives and experiences. He's got all the tools he needs for the road ahead, even if he doesn't consciously know it yet. He's way more prepared than he looks. And finally, we've got the white rose. White stands for purity, a clean slate. But here's the thing about roses. They always have thorns. This is a perfect symbol for any new path we take in life. It's going to be filled with both incredible beauty and, yeah, some pain. The chance for growth and the risk of getting hurt are all part of the same deal. Okay, so now let's zoom out, because the Fool isn't just one card. He's the main character of the entire tarot deck. He's the star of the show. This whole idea is what people call the Fool's journey. He starts at 0, just brimming with potential, but, totally lacking in experience. He then travels through every single one of the other 21 major arcana cards, learning lessons from the Magician, the Empress, the Tower, and all the rest, until he finally reaches the World, which represents a state of completion and wisdom. And this journey, it basically unfolds in 3 big stages. First, he learns about society, relationships, and his place in the world. Then he's forced to turn inward to face his own personal challenges and find his real strength. And finally, in the last stage, he grapples with these huge universal concepts like fate, death, and enlightenment on his path to becoming whole. I mean, this is such a universal story structure, right? It's the classic hero's journey. That's why one person online pointed out that most protagonists in our stories are basically the fool, empty yet holds infinite potential. Think about it. So many of our heroes in movies, books, and games start off as a blank slate, totally unaware of the epic journey ahead, but just filled with possibility. So, that's the timeless story. But what happens when this ancient archetype gets an internet connection? Well, the journey takes a very, very modern twist. Where does this quest for self-discovery even happen today? For a lot of people, the answer is online. But that best comes with a whole new set of cliffs and challenges that the fool from the 15th century could never have dreamed of. Some really interesting academic research shows that many spiritual practitioners today are what they call reluctant entrepreneurs. They're on this genuine, personal quest for meaning. But to actually survive, they're pushed into the digital world to build a personal brand and sell their services. And this creates what researchers call a digital double bind. It's this crazy balancing act. You have to promote yourself, but you have to do it softly so it doesn't look like you're selling out. You need to create this feeling of interactive intimacy with your audience, but you have to do it at scale. And then there's the pressure for compulsory visibility. You have to be online all the time, always sharing, always performing. So what does this all boil down to? It means the spiritual journey of self-discovery is now tangled up with the hard work of self-branding. Your authentic experience isn't just something you live anymore, it's something you curate, package, and even monetize. The fool's inner quest has become a kind of digital labor. So, from a wild card in a 15th century game to a personal brand in the 21st century gig economy, the fool's journey just keeps evolving, doesn't it? But its core meaning? That stays the same. The fool has always stood for new beginnings, for taking that leap of faith into the unknown, whether that's off a cliff on a card or into a totally new life path. He's a reminder that at any given moment, any of us can be at card zero, a void just brimming with potential. So the only real question is, where does your journey begin?